Hey, and welcome to the Narrative Mindset Podcast. Well, guys and gentlemen, who's ever listening, it's been a while. Uh, Definitely been a while. I did start another podcast, Stuff You Should Think About podcast, and it does get into answers to everyday questions and phenomena. So if you get a chance, go check that out. This one is the Narrative Mindset Podcast, and I'm changing the what do you call it, the what the podcast is about. It'll still be about the same general concept, but it'll be a little bit different. Just the heading that'll be all that'll be different. It'll still be the same content and everything like that, but I just kind of wanted to give you guys an update. Honestly, I've been really struggling with my podcast sound, and I think that's what a lot of podcasters go through, because I'm not used to hearing my voice through earphones. So when you hear your voice, you realize how, to you, it's like how awful it sounds, because you're used to listening to your favorite artist or your TV show or another podcast or whatever. And, you're putting yourself at that same level, but you're not realizing that the stuff that you're listening to, a sound engineer has got to it and did his thing and tweaked it, made it sound good, yada, yada, yada. The room treatment, equipment, just all kinds of stuff. Most programs and podcasts and all that other stuff, they have one guy whose job is to sit there. You don't see him, but he sits there and he's constantly, adjusting the sliders and, the sound for the new guests that come in and the sound for the little intro music. And when they say, hey, we're going to this, he presses the button and it says, hey, we're going to, Todd's Corner or whatever it is. There's one guy that does that already. But when you're a regular worker and you're trying to do something on the side, it's all you. You're the one who's got the headache. You're the one who's got all this equipment, great equipment that they sell. But number one, great equipment doesn't mean great sound, because even though you have the great equipment, the only thing you can do is surf the internet on how to use it. And you can't really, even after that, you can't really get the sound that you're looking for. And nobody really tells you everything. They have YouTube videos. Hey, we'll give you these settings and yada, yada, yada. And you put those exact settings in to the exact equipment that you have, except for that one little piece that they're not telling you about. And it's like, man, you've done everything and you just don't sound the same. So it gets a little bit frustrating, but at the end of the day, you must continue on. That's the whole point. In the end, maybe they say that your audience gets used to your voice, but it's more of you getting used to your voice and you getting used to the way you sound, because you're not used to listening to yourself. So that, I would say, is the hardest part about, doing a podcast or anything of that nature, because it's like, wow, But here I am. I kind of went backwards a little bit. I have a Rodecaster Pro 2 with a Shure SM7B mic and stand and, the XLR cords and all that kind of stuff. And it's great equipment, but getting it, trying to get everything dialed in can be a pain. Because like I said, you look at it, not good enough. You tweak it a little bit. It sounds, you're about 95% there, but you keep striving for for more, and because you're never quite there as good as the person you're listening to on YouTube or whatever, who has a perfect sound. And it's like, dude, what is going on here? But at one point you have to just kind of sit back and calm down and say, look, let me find something that I like and then start producing material and get material out. Don't put complete garbage out, but, get material out, to the best of your ability. And that's what podcasting, at least solo podcasting, that's what solo podcasting is all about, because number one, it's solo podcasting can be expensive. In my point of view, a lot of people, they use all different kinds of stuff to do podcasts. Me personally, I started with I think it was it Jelly Bean podcast? Something like that. But it was an AI podcast. And I did about 50 episodes, and I thought about it and I said, well, after getting a couple of marks on a couple of websites about using AI, which is coming, it's here, it's about to take over, but not just yet. I said, well, let me scale back and start doing something else. And I also read a comment where somebody said, well, I can't respect the person that doesn't do it themselves. I'm not going to waste my time listening to it. And I said, well, let me redo this whole thing and start off bare bones, get some equipment and just do it on my own. And it is what it is. And that was when I came up with, I came up with a name, came up with a niche, and then started on that. And then when I branched over to my other podcast, Stuff You Should Think About podcast, the way I did that one is I was kind of fed up with this podcast, the Narrative Mindset podcast. And I was like, I did it kind of backwards, right? So I did what people usually do. Usually a person comes up with an idea and they'll say, oh, okay, this sounds good. I'll do this. They start doing it. Nobody's watching, whatever. And I've never done this before, but they start doing it. Nobody's watching. Well, I think it's because that you created something that you wanted, not what other people wanted. So you didn't solve a problem. You created a solution to something you thought could solve a problem. So I was looking up another podcast. Was it a real popular podcast too? Stuff You Should Think About. I think that's what it's called. Mine is a little bit different, but if you keep listening, I'll kind of explain it to you. So I looked up that podcast and I Googled it. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay. So I look down and I see a Reddit. So Reddit has stuff about everything. So it was a Reddit post about it. So I said, what the hell? Let me read this. So I started reading the Reddit podcast, and the Reddit podcast said a lot of complaints. Like, everybody has complaints. Doesn't matter who you are. You can't make everybody happy. Everybody's got complaints about something. So I read some of the complaints. I said, one of them said, well, let me rephrase that. All of them, even though they were complaining, said stuff you should know or think about or whatever, said it's a great podcast. Very successful podcast. 2 thumbs up to that podcast. But one of them said that podcast creates, answers questions to objects and phenomena in everyday bite-sized episodes. So I said, okay. I went to their podcast site. I listened to a couple of their episodes and I looked at the timeline. And most of their episodes are 45 minutes. So I said, okay. Then I read some other comments about other things, just things people didn't like. I'm not saying I have no place at all to say anything about stuff you should know podcast. Great podcast. I would love to be anywhere near them, even catch their trail that they've made. I'd love to do it. So, no negativity whatsoever on that podcast. Great podcast. So, some of the other comments said some things about their research and they're kind of it's kind of more of a conversational podcast, and it's 45 minutes. So I said, there's a lane right there that I could take. So I came up with a name, and I came up with stuff you should think about. And it's a podcast that really does what it says. It answers questions to everyday phenomena in bite-sized episodes. And it answers questions like, why onions make you cry? Why do birds fly in a V? Why do mosquitoes bite me and not the other person? And it answers questions like those. But it answers them in about, 8 minutes, 10 minutes, maybe a little bit more, maybe 15 minutes, maybe. Every now and then you'll get a little bit of a long one, but most of the episodes are bite-sized episodes. So I came up with that particular podcast just out of, what do you call it? I guess you can call it, I was feeling a little bit discouraged with this podcast, the Narrative Mindset podcast. But the one thing about me is I can't give up. That's just not my thing. I'll stop. Like if something is not going right, I'll stop right now, but I'll be back at it. Once I grab a sandwich, sit down, watch TV, another idea come up. Oh, I'm back in my little sound booth here with my equipment, back at it, trying to get the perfect sound, and because nobody cares. Nobody cares if you quit. So that's once you get your head wrapped around that, then you're not that person that can easily quit. Because people quit because, at least in my opinion, people quit because they think like they're gonna make a statement, or somebody's gonna boo-hoo for them or whatever. And it's like, your destiny is yours. You quit, somebody else picks up what you were trying to or planning on doing, but you didn't have the will to go through it and do it, and they got it, did it, and now you're upset with them because they're doing it. So it's definitely it's definitely a path. Definitely a path. It's really definitely a path. Anybody that's doing a podcast, or planning on doing one, some advice I can give you, if just the advice on the stuff that I have. If you have a Rodecaster Pro 2 and Shure SM7B mic, you could do what I'm doing right now is the neutral preset right now. Mic is at 50 decibels. Depth, sparkle, and punch. You see, depth is at about 3 o'clock. Sparkle is about 3. Punch is at about maybe in between 2 and 3. And it seems to be working pretty good. Just make sure you go to, I'm using WavePad also, and make sure you go to home, outputs, processing, USB chat. Nope, not USB chat. It's is it? Hang on, USB chat. Oh yeah, it is USB chat. You want to go to custom and then you want to tap the whatever mic you're using, tap that particular mic. And when you cut on your whatever DAW you're using, you tap that mic, and then you want to talk, because what'll happen is on your DAW, you'll be slamming 0 on your DAW. But what you need to do is you want to pay attention to the roadcaster, and you want to tap the mic and then take it and turn it down. If you watch your DAW, your noise volume will go down, and put it down to where you want it. Put it down, I don't know, between 6 and 12 or wherever, somewhere around in there. And you can also go to your headphones, also, whatever headphone jack you're using, and you can do the same thing. Mine right now is set just a hair under the recommended line. I'm moving it right now. Right now it's at the recommended line. So then you should be pretty good right there. But real quick, I'll go to the podcast preset real quick. Oh, you know what? I'm sorry. I'm on the podcast preset. Sorry. I'm on the podcast preset. I'll go to the neutral preset. Okay. We're going to the neutral preset right now. Okay. Right now we're using the neutral preset. So right now, this neutral preset, as you can see, it sounds a little bit lighter, in which for me, it's okay, but it's just a little bit too light for my voice. My voice is already deep. So to me, the podcast preset adds a little bit more body to my voice. So we're going to go to the broadcast, which is way too much. So here we go. Okay, now we're on the broadcast preset. And this one here, this adds a little bit too much. It's just way too much. To me, it's too throaty. And I'm peaking right over 6 decibels with no problem, without even trying. So the broadcast is a little bit too much, a little bit too much. So we're going back to the original podcast preset. Okay, now I'm on the podcast preset, but regular settings and everything. And I prefer this one, which some might say it's a little bit, it's kind of in between. It's like a hair more than you need, but the neutral is a little bit less than what you need. So you just got to kind of play with it. And, for me, I find it just said, you know what, screw it. I'm just, I'm tired of flipping buttons and getting settings and all that. Just get it as good as you can get it, and, get you some content and get it out there. I'm guessing people will understand, that that's just the way it is. You just don't want to, hopefully they will understand that you're putting out, you're putting out content. You're putting out content, and it's not like you're just, just garbage from day one and the same garbage on, day 60. Then I can get that one, because there's just you're not even trying to get better. But with this, they can see that you're trying to get better. So, I commend anybody. Hopefully I get the same commendations, but, we're trying. We're trying, definitely trying. So, I kind of just want to create a community, or, if there's already a community out there, join a community of people who want to see everybody win, because if not, I'm just not interested in that kind of environment, because I'm trying to, doing quite a few things, and it's like, something will work out in the end. It's all about consistency. But that's it for this episode of the Narrative Mindset Podcast. If you get a chance, feel free to go visit my other podcast, Stuff You Should Think About. It's a podcast about everyday phenomena and objects explained in bite-sized episodes. Thank you for tuning in. That's it.